into their property. So that would put it further out, maybe 3 years or 4 years out, but the first would be within 2 years up to their site. I believe that's, Kyle, is that somewhere, they're 18 to 2 years to get to the site, and then as phase 2 and 3, we would do the rest of the road improvements. So that gives me more time to get ready for this section here to coordinate their time schedule. So we do these at the same time.
Before you go to Cook's Lane, what about the intersection there with, I think it was Mr. Morgan that I met with that suggested potentially a three-way stop or some other signalization there to stop traffic
At
from,
this location here?
yeah, from flowing down Rock Springs at such a high
When we
speed.
get to that, we'll work with that part of the study. I haven't seen any studies that recommended making that a
So
three-way.
we'll do the traffic studies and
But
follow the policy. the
We'll
study.
follow up. The current traffic study does not, it just says put a left turn lane. It didn't say anything about putting a stop condition on Rock Springs Road. So that's something we can look in after, after this traffic here starts and see. Most of it in the traffic study showing it coming out of this development and going towards Rocky Fork Road and not coming back this way to Rock Springs. So we're not sure how much traffic will be coming down this way to justify, but if the traffic gets equal amounts on all three legs, then it would be more of a warrant for a three-way stop. But that's something that we can keep an eye on as traffic develops in the area. But so far, the Cook's Lane, Maple Farms traffic study did not recommend that.
Okay. Questions about the Rock Springs portion in regards to development of this property?
Yeah, so just so I understand, the development, essentially, this development would get to the end of their property.
Yes.
But then from there to Cook's Lane is on the town's dime. Is that right?
Correct.
You know, and like I said, from there, it's about 1,500 feet.
And softening that first curve.
Yeah.
Yes, they can soften it. Like I said, the homeowner here, he would be in favor of, you know, we could get in there to soften that, because right now it's such a steep slope, he has trouble mowing it, so he would be open to softening the curve here, and that way we stay out of this tree line on this side and come over him, because the creek moves on off away, so we do have more room to widen to that side once we get to this point. So we can soften that horizontal curve there and then give him a 3-to-1 mowable slope into his property.
That's the house that's for sale currently, right? That house is.
It is for sale, but currently he, like I said, he's had a hard time mowing this area, so he would be in favor, because it's not near the house, that he would be open to putting in that 3-to-1 slope through there, so it would be more advantageous for him to be able to mow it.
Charles, would it be wise to try to get an easement from him now if he's trying to sell that property?
Is at what point you want me to start on this section? If
If the property's for sale, the next person may not
Be open.
be open to that.
True.
So, yeah.
So
Jeff,
that-
maybe y'all can have some discussion about that? Okay. Any other questions about Rock Springs and what we're looking at? Because let's talk a little bit about how Cook's Lane ties into all of this, and why we're not looking at doing sidewalks down the remaining portion of Cook's Lane, and then why we weren't looking at it
Okay.
on that portion of Rock Springs.
Currently, we had before the Cook's Lane development came on board, we had started design plans with the town to widen Cook's Lane to a 3-lane curb and gutter section from Rock Springs all the way out to Rocky Fork. We've surveyed that. Our first phase that we're looking at now, since this came in, is trying to concentrate going from Rock Springs out to Lee Road. After speaking with some homeowners and speaking with the Kyle, with developer here, and then our road designer, we've got to soften this horizontal curve here and also the vertical curve. That was in the traffic study for the site distance. So doing that, we'd recommend holding the right-of-way line here on this west side and not encroaching any on them. And, because right now it's shown as symmetrical from the center line, but after discussing with both engineering firms, we felt that holding that line on the west side and moving all the development towards into the new Cooks Lane development this direction, that way we would have the least impact there, and the developer, we would not impact any of his buildable lots. That would also give him the opportunity to change his entrance in here to get it more of a 90-degree and help with those two lots now. But like I said, that does give better sight distance all the way through their entrance there for the horizontal and vertical curve.
And those current homes that, where the road's being moved, we just,
We're there, right here, we would just
Yeah.
extend their driveways out to connect to the new road. So that would not hit their property maybe down here, we would, but like I said, we're pulling this more down this direction. And from here, where, like I said, will be 3-lane curb and gutter on out, and later it would, as if property develops on out this direction, we could add a sidewalk at that time. But that would bring our sidewalk from Rock Springs up through the Maple Farms area, up through Cooks Lane, and then make the connection here back out towards Lee Road.
and there's already sidewalks in that development
Yes, ma'am.
currently.
That will be, this development will have sidewalks on the road, so that would, give you continuity of your sidewalk going through here instead of going down Rock Springs and all the way up Cooks Lane, which would give this a tighter area without sidewalks, just 3-lane curb and gutter.
So whether it's this development or another one, you feel good with this design in regards to?
Right, and I think that's what you're looking for, that transition from the urban section, curb and gutter, to stop it at their development, stopping the sidewalk and the curb and gutter, and going back to a 2-lane section from their side entrance out to Cooks Lane would do it. And this right here, that would tie in to keep Cooks Lane, because that is going to be one of the more thoroughfare plan that goes out to the new McEwen connector out on Rocky Fork Road.
Even though you're saying 2-lane from the end of Maple Farms to Cooks Lane, it will be an improved 2-lane?
Yes, because it will be
Right.
2 lanes with, like I said, we're going to try to get 4-foot shoulders once we get into trying to work in between the creek. They have a wetland area in the Maple Farms area and the bluff, trying to get through there. And then keeping it, like I said, this through here, we'll look at it either 4-foot shoulders or 2-foot shoulders as we come through this section here.
But better than what it currently
But
is.
it'll be
for
better
sure.
but it won't be over-designed, keep it a little tight to help, instead of the, talking about the 3-way stop here to help speed, keeping it a little tighter with 11-foot lanes and putting, a 30-mile-per-hour design speed in that curve to keep speed down as you approach the Waldron Road intersection.
Okay. Questions about road and what we're kind of looking at. One thing we talked about today, let's talk a little bit about timeline in regards to Cooks Lane and what we're looking at, especially tied in with the Cooks
I
Lane project.
believe the developer here, they're looking that they're maybe starting to turn dirt, what, in spring, Cal, maybe somewhere in there. And we, like I said, our firm that's doing the road is working with them now to get this tie-in, site development and grade work through here. So we're working together, so it would possibly be, we may only do this section right here on their development because we would have that right of way and we're not picking up any right of way on the other side. So we could maybe pick it up 18 to 24 months depending on how much of this section between Rock Springs and Lee Road we can
We
get
can do.
right of way for
Okay.
and entrance on.
Council, questions on road? Thought it was important that we all see kind of the tie-in between the Cooks Lane as well as Rock Springs area and how it all kind of fits together.
And the cooks we have budgeted for, just
Yeah.
talk about Rock Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the next slide would show the Cooks Lane development, and like I said, you can see it here, and that, like I said, sidewalks would be connecting through. But like I said, their traffic study, was concerned with the site distance in here, and then the vertical and horizontal curve. So putting that new alignment in and matching up with their development, I think it'll work out well for both of us.
Other questions? Okay. Council, any other comments or discussions on this project?
Maybe for Kevin to help me out here. Kevin, I just want a couple points here. With the lots that are adjacent to Ms. Reasonover's land, we have a 20-foot natural buffer there, correct?
That's what they're, it's showing you, there would be a,
Which is part of the PRD
yes,
approval. If it were approved, they would have to do that. You
they
can't
have to
just.
leave the 20 feet alone. yeah.
And was there additional discussion that with the lots, the way they were sized, that would be able to push the homes even further away from even the 20-foot buffer?
Well, yeah, I think they made them, they're larger lots, but they're narrower and deeper.
Right.
And I think they moved the road from the previously considered plan further to the east to allow for more depth on those lots. So, if you have the home is built roughly on the front setback, you would assume. So it would be, you would have a larger backyard before you would even get to that buffer area. because of
Pushing
that.
the rear of the home further from the rear setback, in other words.
Correct.
It could potentially be more than 20 feet.
I mean, 20 feet's the buffer strip.
Yeah.
That's shown. Certainly, it could be more than 20 feet to the back of the house. You
Right.
have a backyard, yeah.
When we look at a density of 2.7, is that considered high density,
Under our land use plan, it would be considered medium.
medium density? I know Steve had talked about, what subdivision do you get? And it was a fair question. In the pattern, it notes that 50% of the homes are proposed to have 25% brick and stone, 75% cement fiber, board and batten and shake. 50% of the homes are proposed to have 52% brick and stone or greater, and 49% cement board and batten and shake siding. On side elevations, 36 inches of the brick and stone on the sides of the foundation that face this can be, they were talking about, so adding 36 inches of brick and stone on the sides, and they were talking about to create a visual interest side elevations not facing the right-of-way, 15% brick, 85% cement fiber. On the rear elevations, it said 75% of the lots shall contain covered porches, patios, or decks to create visual interest within the Rock Springs Road view shed. Then it goes on to talk about driveways. So when you approve a PRD, it has to be built to this, correct?
Yes,
There's no changing it, or to change it, it would have to come before,
it would have to come back. for an
through
amendment.
planning to be approved and back through council to be approved on 2 readings.
Correct.
I guess from my perspective, I supported this at planning. I continue to support it. I think that it is a transition from Gwynn Farms. I think that, we've had discussion before about meeting requirements or minimum requirements. This exceeds what we asked for in several different areas. I think the care that has been taken as far as creating that buffer between Ms. Reasonover's property and the fact that Ms. Reasonover stated this is a generational property that she has. I think that, it is that transition, and there's your line right there. And it is either consistent or exceeds surrounding zoning that's been previously approved and has met our standards.
Other comments or questions?
Yeah, Kevin, and I got an answer, I had the question, I got an answer, but just want to kind of clarify, and I don't know if you can answer this or whatever. They reduced the lots by 18, and those 18 roughly added 100,000 square feet. If you go from 5,500 square foot lots to 9,400 square foot lots, that's basically an additional 4,000 square feet. They got 100 of that 400 out of reducing the lots. Where'd the other 300 come from?
Well, there is less open space with this plan than what was looked at before. There was about 15 acres of open space. This is a little less than 13 acres. So you had a little over 2 acres of open space. So
Okay,
that's,
2 acres is 100,000 square feet roughly.
that's roughly
So
100,000.
I'm still coming up 200,000 square feet short.
Yeah. You know, the average lot size went up. I don't know if it's, I don't know that I can really answer the question where the other 200,000 square feet come from. I mean, I know that there's more open space, there's fewer lots and more open space, so that means obviously the lots are bigger. Because there's 18 fewer lots, there's 2 acres less open space, meaning 2 acres that are lots now, in lots now, so. I think some of that, of course, there is more right-of-way being dedicated along Rock Springs Road. That would hit that marginally, get that a little bit as well. But I don't know that I can, maybe I don't know that I can really answer your question. You asked me that before, and I couldn't answer it before either, so I don't think I still could.
He thought the second time around you might be able
Yeah,
to.
maybe I come up with something.
Mr. President,
You were using your parenting skills, weren't you? You know, you ask them the second time, maybe they'll have an answer.
well, he's asking you because he can't answer it.
Is there anybody that can?
Yeah. I don't know if the developer or his engineer maybe could. I don't know if he's.
If you will state your name, your address, and who you represent.
Good evening, Kyle Griffin, CSDG 2305 Klein Avenue, Nashville, not in Smyrna. All I can do is assure you that the lot areas that we've provided you are accurate. The exhibits that you've seen, the lot breakdowns and the percentage of lots, those are accurate. The average lot size did go up. We do still have some smaller lots, the smallest one being 6,000, but those are clustered towards the core. We have pushed our lots into all areas. We've pushed out into open space, we've pushed out around the buffers. We have realigned the road, which is actually more efficient along Rock Springs Road. And that gave us access to a large section up by Rock Springs Road. So the information that's been provided, the average lot sizes, they have all gone up. I'm not exactly following your math, but I can definitely look into that and get you a formal response after this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kevin, one of the things that we have, concern, problem, whatever you want to call it, with Gwen Farms is looking at the back of those houses. So I saw in the pattern book, but let's talk a little bit about, I'm trying to find the lot numbers, hold on.
It's like 59 through
Yeah.
so 55 through 60 and 90 through 107 are the ones that, yes, rear elevation. with
Yeah,
patios,
90 through
porches.
107 and 50, those, which is 6 and about 24 lots total.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what those are gonna look like and what it's gonna look like from the road as you're
Well,
driving down Rock Springs.
I mean, the elevations are going to be, I mean, they'll have the brick or the stone or the siding on them. 75% of those, so there's 24 lots, so 18 of them, would not be just the back wall of the house. There would be a porch, there would, a covered porch, a patio or a deck or something, to kind of break up what the house, the rear of the house would look like. So, for at least 75% of them, I guess. They say 75%, they don't say a minimum, so if you assume 75, again, there's 24 lots, so 18 of them. So you wouldn't just have, like what we have in Gwin Farms, which is just a flat wall on every house, just a different color siding. So you would have some, there would be some relief there in the house, there'd be some visually, something different.
Okay. Council, other comments?
The only other question I got is, I think, the email that Mr. Short got back, as well as the conversations we had with Mr. Morgan and Century today, that they mentioned, I think, the rough house count that they had come up with. And I realize it's early and it's not set in stone and numbers may fluctuate, but the smallest one that they gave me in that design was 10 houses at 1,800 square feet. But this pattern book shows 1,600. That would be my only concern, is that if 1,800 is the smallest they're gonna build, then this needs to be
Well,
represented in the
right.
plat, in the book that we approve. Because right now it says 1,600, and if we vote on what's been submitted, it would be potentially less. Yeah, item number 5 says 1,600 to 3,000, and I'd like to see that go up to 1,800 to 3,000.
Wasn't it 18 to 32?
The numbers they
33?
gave, yeah, was up to 33, 18 to 33.
Yeah,
There was 18 houses that they said would be roughly 2,900 to 3,300 square foot.
yeah. So 18 to 3,300.
That breakdown was very helpful because it, just looking at this, a lot of people are gonna say, well, 70% of the homes are gonna be 1,600 square feet and 2 are gonna be 3,500, and that's how you're gonna get there. That's not what the communication is that we've gotten. It's pretty evenly spaced, with only 10 on the small side, and then 21, 29, and 28, and then 18 as you go up. So a good mix of home sizes based on that. I just want to make sure, and again, I'm not trying to lock you into numbers that may fluctuate, but I also don't want to approve a pattern book that doesn't reflect that, and then we end up with 100, 1,600 square foot homes, right? So, because that could happen, hope it doesn't, but that's what the issue. I would like to see some of that, some sort of percentages or something tied to those numbers to kind of get us there.
Kevin, comment on that?
I mean, I think that's certainly something, if you all choose to approve this tonight, you could add that as a condition of the PRD. That those are the ranges, and you want to ask for that, and perhaps they could get that to you, before second reading. Certainly something to consider.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
I think it would be reasonable to have percentages or a range. And, again, I don't want to lock you into numbers that you don't know yet, but something that's close.
Put some minimums on
Yeah.
it. One of the things we talked about in planning, again, this is not the first time it's been to planning, but we did this again last week. And I hope I tried to get the people in the audience, the people that might be listening, to understand that planning has a different job than the council has. And it's our job in the planning to look at what our regulations are, trust our staff to look things over, give us guidance on those things. And as I explained to everybody, consistency is very, very important to your planning commission. We look to be consistent, try our best to be consistent. That can vary with PRDs, and I understand that. I know some people spoke tonight about the vineyards, and the vineyards is a nice subdivision. It doesn't have near the green space that this potentially would have. And that may be even there though, I think it was 3.2 was the density on that one?
That's actually a little lower because there's about 6 or 7 acres there in the
The
front where
fountains.
those ponds are,
Yeah.
with the fountains in them. So the density on that one's actually about 2.3.
Okay. So, and in this one, if I understood you correctly, it's 266?
Right. Which is closer to like what a Potts Crossing density is.
Yeah. Or potentially a Woodmont.
Yeah.
So anything along through that corridor right there is pretty consistent. And I think that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. Just from Planning Commission, this is why we have twice given our blessings to support it, but we know when we do that, where it's heading. It's going right here to the council, and the council can take the information and do what they will with it. I did have a couple of emails actually today, just like Steve. A gentleman that emailed me yesterday who lives on Rock Springs Road, and when he first saw this product, he had some concerns about it, you know, traffic and the things that have been mentioned. Still has a traffic question, but as far as design and density, the removal of lots and the buffering in the front, he was much more satisfied with it in his email today. So I think what it shows is that at the very least, what we have seen is the developers and the neighbors try to come to a conclusion that works for everybody. I don't know you're always going to get that. We try, and we try in planning. We had those conversations last week. But I think Tim and I will consistently, at least from a planning perspective, and the planning members, try to send stuff to the council that is consistent, and then let the council make that decision going forward. So just want to put that out there again.
Other comments or questions?
So we talked about the green space, and then there's some space in here, if I'm not mistaken, that's not buildable, but that's still counted in that number, correct?
Sure, it's all part of the common space, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like 12.8 acres of open space total. Some of that is just some ponds and stormwater areas and all, but then there are also some amenities within that as well. The parking area that was mentioned, asked about, there is parking around their amenity in the pool house and the pool and all that's being proposed.
But how much of it is not buildable?
I don't know how much is not buildable. I think it's about 30% is open with the 12.8 acres.
Okay.
The improved open space, let me get to that number.
It's only like 2 acres
Is it?
that's improved.
Okay.
And Kevin, one question I've got,
Yeah, it's
I think.
about 2,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
1.83 improved open space.
Okay.
Have we ever in the past done that? Have we ever looked at usable versus non-usable or amenity space as being part of our zoning guidelines?
Well, we require a minimum percentage of open space in a PRD, or any PUD that has residential, which is, and then within that open space area, there has to be at least 30% of that. It's 15% of the site, is the minimum.
And this meets that for sure.
And we're well over that. And then the 30% of that 15% has to be improved in some way.
Right.
You know, which they have the pool area and the walking trails and things like that that they're showing on there.
But when we calculate lots per acre, we look at the whole tract. Right? That's what we've been doing.
That's
I know
how,
there's
that's
discussion.
how every
Every
city or
municipality.
county that I'm
Yes.
aware of looks at density as far as units per
Right.
acre. Whether that's units are developed in an R1 type development and they use the entire property, or if they do a PRD and only develop half or 60% of the property or whatever. The overall density is, because that's what would be developed on that, in this case, 40 acres or 100 acres, however big it is.
And you just, I just want to make sure I understand, you did say that even at, what's the subdivision right down the road? I just totally lost.
Vineyards.
Thank you. You said, God, we talked about some of these subdivisions. You talked about 4 to 6 acres that are around the pond and the fountain and all that there. You said that was used in that calculation at 2.33, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
yeah, it was, because it was 133 lots on 58.3 acres.
So to me, if you're gonna use that as part of the density calculation in an R3, and you've got area that's not developed, and then you've got area that's not developed in an R3, in a PRD, gotta use that calculation as the overall.
Yeah, this one, you know, it's 40 acres, there's 12 that's gonna be open, and about, almost 2 of that is improved, so it's about 10 acres that's basically detention pond and other
Green
land,
space.
green space.
Other comments? Other questions?
No, I guess the last thing, just to add on to that, is, you know, I think the further we go out towards the Rocky Fork area, I think we're gonna see more and more of this type of challenging developments. The land is, gets a little steeper, it gets a little bit,
The topo.
yeah, it gets a little bit harder to develop, and I think we're gonna see a lot more of, I don't think any developer's gonna have trouble meeting the open space requirements that we have set forth, because there's gonna be a lot of land they're gonna have to use to try to do something with it. So I think we're gonna see a lot more of that. You know, the nice, flat pasture land is pretty much already being developed. It's already been purchased, or already been, 5-acre tracts have already been built, or whatever's gonna happen.
Other comments or questions? Okay, I'll go to the council for a motion.
From a planning perspective, I'm not speaking for Tim, but from a planning perspective, we found the favor in this, so I'm gonna stick with what we did in planning and just put the motion on the table for approval.
For a motion?
With the 1,800-foot minimum to be corrected in the pattern vote.
Could we say that the,
Or is it two, you wanna put a cap on it too?
yeah, just the percentages for each? That's what I would like, and I'll second
Add
it
that
if you
to
add
my,
that.
add that to my motion. Yep.
To be presented before second reading?
Before second reading, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and
So
a
Kyle,
second.
similar to the email you guys sent back, is what I'm expecting.
Discussion, questions?
I don't think we got a second, did we?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Yeah,
said I'll-
he
I'll
said he'll
second.
second.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I
sorry.
missed that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
So we have discussion.
Yeah.
So, I guess I have some questions about the lots that were on the boundary line next to Ms. Reasonover's home. And the only reason I have questions is I know that you all addressed it at the planning commission, and there are less lots that are now on that side, and there's the 20-foot buffer. But I guess I was confused, because I know Ms. Reasonover was still having some concerns about that, and I know, Mark, you asked her about that, and so I'm a little cloudy as to what the concern is. Is it that there's still a lot of lots, or the square footage of the lots? I guess I'm still a little concerned or confused
I
on
think-
what the issue is with the boundary line as to what's going on with this side. And I'm good with the the buffer.
Yeah.
I
I
appreciate.
think when Ms.
that's
Reasonover spoke,
going
she
on.
said that there were approximately 13, 12, depending on how you break it out. I think her concern is still just the number of lots based on what she said tonight.
Okay.
Is that right? Am I
And
misrepresenting you?
one of those
Yeah.
is cemetery, there's a cemetery.
Right.
There is a cemetery.
And they reduced that, I believe, from 16 or 17 down to the
It was
12,
19,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they cut 7 off that boundary. That's way, right, Kevin?
Yeah,
It was 19, now it's down to
I believe
12.
that's right. And I know there was discussion the other night too, also, we talked about widening the lots and reducing the number. But even if you kept the lots that's roughly the same size, they wouldn't be as deep. So
Right.
We
that
talked
was,
about
and
that.
Right.
I believe she stated that,
So I'm
that
just
she would
wasn't sure
prefer the
what
houses to be
the
further
issue
away
is.
as much as possible. But, yeah, at least I can't speak for her. I'm just trying to relay what was said the other night.
But the fact that they are deeper gives her even more of a buffer. Am I correct?
You would have, in theory, you have the 20-foot buffer, you would have a backyard, so it would be someone's backyard. Obviously, you can end up with a swimming pool or a shed or whatever in the backyard, but there would be more room between the house and her property, yes.
Didn't you guys mention today that it was around 30-foot buffer along that road now, or is it still, it's just 20?
It's 20,
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe I was thinking of along Rock Springs Road.
Yes, that's 30.
Yeah.
Were there evergreens or, there was evergreens or something brought up the other night? I think that got put in.
I think there's some bamboo in that area, as well as some other trees.
Were
I
there
did.
some,
I
Kyle, you
wrote
can
that
shake your,
down.
I think there
Yeah,
was.
I wrote that down, that
Yeah.
you said there was some
Can Kyle,
buffer
would you
with
mind?
evergreens.
With the motion already on the
Counselor.
table, I mean, I guess if we allow it.
Okay, I get it. We're in the middle of a motion.
Yeah,
Never
we're in the
mind.
middle of a motion.
Okay.
Kevin, we're in the middle of a motion, still in discussion, so let me ask you that question. I thought we covered that as well at planning.
We did talk about it would be the existing trees, and then there's it's a healthy area of trees already there, and I know it was relayed to me there's some bamboo or whatnot in there as well, to the more native type trees. I think there are some evergreens in there, I assume, but I don't know that maybe it would be supplementing the evergreens.
I thought it was 2 per lot.
Yeah, two.
Was it 2 per lot?
2 per lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, after I met today, I went home to my house, and my house backs up to a wooded area with some houses behind me, and I actually got out my tape measure and measured that buffer that I have there, because I wanted to know what does 20 foot look like, right, and when it's trees, and mine was only 17 feet from yard to yard with the buffer in the middle, and in the summer, I cannot see my neighbors at all. Now, in the winter, it does thin out a little bit,
And
but
that's
I
the reason we
cannot,
brought that up.
I can't even, you can't see houses behind me at 17 feet.
And that's the reason we talked about that and added it, because in the wintertime, your foliage is gonna be off the
Right.
trees, but we wanted.
And I do not have any evergreens back
It
there.
was 2
so-
per lot, as I recall. I see a head shaking, so I guess that's right.
Yeah, so
So that needs to be part of a motion, if it's not already covered in what planning commission approved.
Yeah, I mean, I think they made that commitment at the meeting.
Okay, that was my question to you, they did that, right?
May not be, if they're revising the pattern book, put that in the pattern book too,
Yeah,
so
we-
it's clear.
We
on-
need that in there
yeah,
too. yeah.
Yeah,
And that gives seasonal buffer,
right.
not all season buffer.
So, Mark, you want to add the evergreen condition
I
to be
do
added
too,
to the
Paul.
pattern book to your
Along the
motion?
border of Ms. Reesover's property.
Okay. Steve, you're still good with your second?
I'm good.
Okay.
That's a long motion.
Yeah.
No, I thought Raquel had other questions. Did you have other questions?
Well, I did, but some of it we've already
Already covered.
discussed, so, and some of it, we're in the middle of the motion, so I don't know that I can get answers for some of it. So today I did meet with them as well, and I have, had them send me a copy of what the lot sizes were gonna be, and there are like 4 that are 12 to 15,000 square feet, and 4 that are 15 to 17. But I guess my concern then is where they're actually located on here. If they're just,
Yeah, the map that, I don't know if you saw the same map I did, but the map
Yeah.
they showed me today, the larger ones, there's actually one in almost each corner of the development. The 4 larger ones, and then the other 4 are again kind of scattered throughout the development. They're not like all one side has big ones.
right.
The
And I didn't know
larger, also
what the
the.
thought process behind that was.
The medium ones started at Rock Springs Road and then got smaller as you got deeper into the development. And their intention, the way he explained to me, was to buffer the outside with the larger lots, so the deeper, denser ones are only on the inside of the development. But that's the map. There was a color-coded map that somebody
Yes.
showed me today that kind of laid those lot sizes and where they were.
Okay. I just didn't know if they could be more, one of the terms that keeps being used is transitional. I just didn't know if that could be something that could be more transitional coming into the subdivision, but those were my concerns or questions.
Other comments or questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Kevin, as soon as you get the other items for second reading, could you, if you get them prior to the plan book, before we get our normal packet, could
Sure.
you send them out to us?
Sure will.
Okay, we'll move on to item 3, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of tax map 33, parcel 91.00 to go from R1 with ESO to C2 and PRD with ESO, requested by Hollingshead Land LLC. The property requested to be rezoned contains 6.24 acres and is located at the corner of Enon Springs Road West and Gamble Lane.
Yeah, this is a piece of property at the corner, as you stated, at the corner of Union Springs West and Gamble Lane. This is also, as the previous request was on Gamble Lane, this is in our 24 Gateway character area, which again would support a mix of uses and services that are more kind of a hospitality, retail, restaurant type uses, as well as multifamily. Surrounding zoning is R1, R3, and C2. This request for rezoning is for 1.03 acres to be rezoned to C2, and the remaining 5.21 acres to be zoned PRD. The requested PRD is for 37 townhomes, which would be a density of 7.1 units per acre. This property is within the Enon Springs Overlay District. The proposed townhomes would be a minimum of 1,750 square feet in size with 2-car garages. The architectural elevations show majority brick exteriors with concrete siding and stone also allowed. They are meeting all of our parking requirements, the 4.5 spaces per unit that we require now for townhomes, as well as open space requirements. One access point is shown to Enon Springs Road. That would be a right-in, right-out only, because there is a median there. There would also be 2 proposed access points to Gamble Lane. The Planning Commission did review this request, did recommend approval 6-4-1 against. With 3 conditions. A type C buffer is required on the northern and eastern property lines. The applicant is proposing a type A buffer with a fence in lieu of the type C buffer. The Planning Commission did recommend approval with the type A buffer as well as a 6-foot-tall vinyl fence. All requirements of the Enon Springs overlay with regard to color palette, landscaping, lighting, buffering, and screening are required to be met and would be reviewed in detail with the site plan submittal if this rezoning is approved. And in all sides of the buildings must be within the 150-foot reach. That's a fire department concern they had regarding, make sure they had access to all sides of the building for fire purposes. So with those conditions, staff would recommend approval.
Kevin, I have a question about the cemetery. The buffering around it, I understand, but does the HOA, would they have responsibility for cutting and maintaining inside that cemetery, or how does that work?
The cemetery is not that's a completely separate parcel. A lot of times the cemeteries are located on the parcel. That is actually a separate parcel of land, so they would not be responsible for that. I don't know who is maintaining it currently.
So someone else owns that property? Okay, then it would fall under a regular, just how it's being maintained today, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
grass cutting, that kind of thing. The reason I bring that up is obviously, we have a cemetery in the middle of our subdivision and no one maintains it, so it's constantly a battle. I guess technically I'm maintaining it because I keep going up there and cutting it, so.
It's yours.
Questions or comments on this? Talked a little bit about our overlay district there, and this parcel, you can't tell it from that, but is right up from the other one we just talked about, so.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the piece I was mentioning when I talked about greater density towards the road,
Yeah,
medium in the middle, and then single family larger behind,
well, and also commercial on that front.
front, right?
Questions on this? And Kevin, just to reiterate, we are meeting our parking requirements of minimum of 4 on the pad, not counting the
Garages.
garage.
That's correct, as well as guest parking.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
I know there was a lot of discussion of this one at the planning commission as well. And one of the questions that was asked was about how this would actually be more of an R6 type
Yes.
development if it were.
If it were straight zoning, it would be R6. At least the 5 acres that's multifamily would be, yes, townhomes. Density is about half of what would be allowed in an R6, but it would be an R6 zone, yes.
But based on our overlay, that's what we talked about, was high density in the front, transitioning back to
Correct.
less, which is what we did with the project earlier in the night, moving back to what's currently there. Other questions?
And so you're good with the buffer? Because I know that was one of the concerns that you did have
With the
at the
fence being
time.
added, I think that takes care of it. I was, at a type A buffer, I was concerned about it without the fence, but I think with the fence, that's a good compromise. I'm okay with that.
Other questions?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Where's the fence being added?
On the northern and, what is it, the
The-
northern and eastern property
So the-
lines.
So those sides, okay.
Yeah, that's where you have the single
Yeah,
family
sorry, I
zoning.
must have missed that part.
Yeah.
Other comments? And buffering between the townhomes and the potential commercial will come when we talk about that commercial piece.
Yes, it would be under Beth's. Yeah, I don't know when that would be developed. The townhomes will certainly be built first, so that, yeah,
Right.
the commercial piece, when it's built, would have to provide a buffer there on all property lines.
Okay. Other questions? Do I have a motion?
I will move to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Bless you. Item 4, consideration of an ordinance amending the text of the Smyrna Municipal Zoning Ordinance, Article 3, General Provisions. Kevin?
Yes, this is a text amendment to the ordinance, section 3.120. This would change the expiration date for site plans approved by the planning commission from 1 year to 3 years. Currently, the zoning ordinance states that a site plan approval is valid for 1 year from the date of the planning commission meeting approval, with an option for an extension of the approval up to 6 months by staff if the applicant submitted construction plans for review and requests that extension prior to the expiration. This would change that expiration date to 3 years from the date of the planning commission approval. It does remove the possibility of an extension of the approval by staff. This is being proposed to bring the ordinance into compliance with state law regarding the vesting of development rights. And so the planning commission did review this, did recommend approval, and staff would also recommend approval.
Okay. So just bringing us into compliance with our state law.
Correct.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to item B under new business, which is consideration of a resolution to approve funding for nonprofit organizations for fiscal year 2025. Rex, I didn't even see you sitting back there. Were you hiding?
There's a crowd.
Ah, there has been.
A resolution stating the agency, purpose, and amount must be approved before any funds can be distributed to nonprofit agencies according to guidelines established by the Comptroller of the Treasury in the state of Tennessee. We recommend that you approve this resolution.
Questions for Rex?
No questions, just a comment. I mentioned it before, but just a reminder that the library system, Rutherford County Library System approved a rebate that will be given back to the town based on this amount. So once we receive full payment of the 423, then the library system will refund about 120,000. So just so you know that, to expect that, and Just in case I'm not on the board when that happens, you might want to keep that in the back of your head.
So if and when that happens, we have to come back and amend this?
Well, I guess that depends on
It'd be
what you do
less.
with the money.
Less of an expenditure.
So we don't have to do that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Do I have, I didn't get a motion yet, did I?
You got one
Okay.
now.
I
got
have a
one, don't
motion
you?
now, okay? No, I've got one now. I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is consideration of an appointment of one member to the Historic Zoning Commission to serve an unexpired term ending in 2025. We did have one individual put in, Raul Moraro, and it is mayor's nomination, so I will nominate Raul, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Raul, on being appointed to the Historic Zoning Commission. Item D is consideration of an appointment of one member to the town's Industrial Development Board to serve an unexpired term ending in 2027. We have not had anybody yet who wants to be on that board, but Heather, I saw, had put it on again, so I saw that again today. So if there's somebody out there that wants to be on the wants to be on the IDB board, we would encourage you to
Actually,
apply.
got somebody applied. Somebody told me they did.
Have we gotten
Any
anything?
applications yet?
Okay,
No, ma'am.
I'll double check it.
But
Okay.
Okay.
are we gonna move it to next month and?
Yes,
collect
we'll
more
just,
applications?
yeah, we'll move it. Okay. Item 10, under other, we do have one item under other. It is consideration of an ordinance relative to a budget amendment for the natural gas fund requested by the comptroller's office. And because of timing and what the comptroller has, the time restriction, that's why it had to be put under other tonight. So Rex?
Yes, ma'am. The budget has been submitted to the comptroller's office for fiscal year 2025 review. The comptroller suggested adopting a budget amendment for the natural gas fund. The reason for the amendment is the difference between change in net position on GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles basis, and change in statutory net position. We prepared the budget on the GAAP basis. In order to meet the comptroller's deadline, we need to address this as soon as possible. What this is, we always budget on the GAAP basis, but what the comptroller's wanting is a separate calculation different than what is the information in the budget. So it's an extra calculation.
And was this new?
It's new to me.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Questions for Rex on this? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second? Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, so, did you say question?
Oh, no, she.
Oh,
sees and
I thought you said I have a question.
No.
Okay. Item 11, Rex, status report?
Yes, ma'am. May, state shared tax, we received $738,889. May local sales tax, we received $1,737,779, and our tax collections are tracking pretty close to budget.
I would say they are pretty close.
Yeah, so that local sales were behind by a percentage or two. That doesn't really have any impact in the overall budget, does it? I assume not. Yeah. It's a very small number.
It will have a surplus.
Yeah.
Other comments or questions?
I'm just curious, Rex, how many years has it been since we've had a tax increase in this town? I can't even remember. It's back years
It's
and years.
over 11.
2012, 2011?
I think 2013, wasn't it?
It was early. It's been 10 or 12 years at least, I think.
We're on a good run.
Well, we got good people in our finance department.
I have a great staff.
And we're just going to keep giving credit to everybody.
Okay.
Y'all do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Jeff, anything else under other?
Nothing under other.
Okay. Staff, any announcements tonight that need to be made? Amber?
No, ma'am.
Jeffrey L.?
Actually, nothing for me other than enjoyed the Fourth of July celebration. I'm sure you'll get to that, but I want to say appreciate all the work that police, fire, and public works, everyone, parks, everyone that contributes to that makes it a success, and just a really good team.
Okay. Ben?
I don't have any now.
Okay. Raquel?
I have a slide. Jeffrey stole my thunder.
That's what I'm here for.
Last week on Wednesday, we celebrated our Independence Day at the park, and we enjoyed the food vendors, the music, the fun, and the fireworks. And we'd like to say thank you to the Parks and Rec team, the fire and police departments, and Public Works for making the family-friendly event a wonderful and safe experience for all. And there's some pictures of all of the participants. And I want to also say that I think the stage being where the Coos Memorial was, I think that was a great idea. And I think it just made more room for people to spread out and to be a part of the full festivities. So I think it was a great time had by all, so. And I think, and one other thing, I'd like to thank everyone for all of your birthday wishes from Friday. So thank you for reaching out about that. And that's all I got, Mayor. Tim?
Yeah, I have a slide also tonight. Well,
Keep going, one more.
shop local in Smyrna.
Way to go, HG.
Yeah. The Top Gun Night Run, the sign-up is today. It will be on Friday, September 13th at 7:30 p.m. at Lee Victory Recreational Park. This is a 3.7-mile course and includes the Smyrna Rutherford County Airport, Smyrna Golf Course, with a finish line at the Captain Jeff Coos USMC Memorial. Spectators and runners will enjoy live music and food in the park. This run will be Chip Time USATF certified and limited to 650 participants. All proceeds for this race benefit the maintenance and upkeep of the Captain Jeff Coos USC Memorial. There's a sign up. Well, I hate reading this. https:// Nobody's going to remember this. Yeah, go online, go to the town, you'll find it. I've got a new knee for this year's event. I finished last year with the old event. Todd Spearman did knock me down in the home stretch to beat me across the finish line, but with the new knee, I'm ready to go.
Well, and we had somebody reach out under citizens' comments yesterday or today asking, can you walk? Can you, and absolutely, doesn't matter, age, size, whatever, we encourage you to come on, bring your kids if you want to pull them in a wagon, whatever. To receive a shirt and a medal, you have to register and pay the $50. And so, but we encourage families to come out. It is a really fun night.
Great shirt.
It is,
And
and
medal,
shirt is
finisher medal.
gonna be, I won't
A
tell
new
the.
color.
A new
I like that
color,
already.
a new color.
Not blue?
And the medals are custom each year, so we try
Yes.
to do the t-shirt and
Yeah.
the medal different each
Yeah.
year.
And they're
So,
Mayor,
but
can-
we'll share those before the 13th.
Can they just ride the course in a golf cart like you did the first one?
I didn't ride in a golf cart.
I was gonna say,
did not ride in a
you
golf
can
cart.
walk or you can run, but what you cannot do is cheat.
That's right, absolutely.
Cut half the
No.
course off with the golf cart?
Go look.
You and HG
Yeah.
All the way around.
You were behind me and then you were at the finish line. So
Not only at the finish line, eating a snack and
Yeah.
drinking some water. So way ahead of us.
Jerry, anything from you?
Yeah.
Jerry
I
wasn't
have
there.
a slide.
Welcome to town of Smyrna, Jerry.
Okay, we have if you want to know about what's going on, you can sign up for e-notifications. And this way, a lot of people say, hey, I don't have Facebook to get things, and so you can actually go online and do this. Heather, I think it's still on the front page when you first opened it up. I noticed it the other day. So all you have to do is go to the Town of Smyrna website, first first page when you open it up. I have this, and I'm constantly getting notifications of things that are going on, and so it's a great tool if you want to know what's happening in Smyrna. So, a couple of things. I'm seeing out there, I see a former mayor here, Robert Mullins. It's good to see you. It's good to have you here.
Reflecting old memories.
Well, you actually put me on planning commission when you were mayor, so that's when I started kind of doing some things with the town, and then later on, you put me on planning commission, so, but I think a lot of you, Mr. Mullins, and you and your family, and we've known each other a long time, but appreciate you being here. Good to see you. Always good to see you. And then on Saturday, Patty and I will celebrate our 39th anniversary. So she has put up with me for 39 years, and that's all I've got.
Thanks, Jerry. Steve?
I also have a slide, one of my favorite topics. The town of Smyrna is hosting its 12th annual Smyrna Golf Course Scramble, Friday, August 16th at the Smyrna Golf Course. Sponsorship packages are available now through July 15th. You can sign up today. All proceeds will benefit the local United Way. And for more information or to become a sponsor, contact Jeff Craig at jeff.craig@townofsmyrna.org. Also, Chief, I wanted to extend condolences. I know I've already done that privately, but I want to recognize the passing of your mother, and to let you know that our family is continuing to pray for you and your family, peace and comfort during this time. I told you when you got here, I was surprised to see you. So glad to see you here, and if you need anything from us, let us know. So, thank you. That's all I've got.
Chief, same here. I know your mother was, when we lose our moms, you don't have any more. And so I just want to give you my condolences publicly. I know we texted you and talked to you about it, but I think Miss Brenda probably had a very good life and had a very proud of her son, so, and family. You know, we've all talked, I've got a slide too, it's going to come up. Smyrna Town Hall, is it not? It's not mine.
No, those two are mine.
Well,
Nope,
nope.
nope, nope.
You know what, I'll just come back to it in a second. Nope, that's not it. It's all about early voting, so.
Maybe it didn't.
Smyrna Town Hall is an early voting location, polling location. Early voting period is July 12th through July 27th. And I believe that's right out back in our parking lot. So early voting will be available to anybody that wants to come and early vote, July 12th through July 27th. The hours will be Monday through Friday from 10 to 6, Saturdays from 8 to 12. And that's the polling days. So you mentioned, Raquel mentioned July 4th and the holiday celebration, had a slide with all the pictures. One of the things I heard from today, today or yesterday, my days are running together, but Gene Hardeman. Mr. Hardeman, for many of you who don't know, started serving in the military when he was 17 years old. Today he's 95 years old. And at the celebration, the council, staff that were there all had the opportunity to welcome Mr. Hardeman to the stage in full uniform and give him a plaque of appreciation for his years of service, not only to the military, and he is a proud military man, isn't he? But also to him and his family. They've been community members here for a long, long time. And one of the things he said to me was, nothing gets him more emotional than to watch people actually place their hands on their hearts and say the pledge and sing the Star Spangled Banner. And he told me this event Wednesday night was the highlight, proudest moment of his life. That's what he told me. So he wanted me to share with all of you that were there and participated that he really appreciated the council's recognition of his service. I watched him as we helped him down the stage at the steps, and the colors had not yet left from the color guard. He would not sit down in his golf cart. He waited for the colors to pass, and he put that salute up there. And that makes me proud. My parents were military, man. When I see that, it just makes me proud. So Gene wanted me to convey his appreciation to this council and everybody that participated in that acknowledgement the other night. He's a proud man because of that. So I told Gene I would say something tonight. I'm done.
Great. So I have two slides that I think everybody's gotten Okay, yes, so first is the Safe Streets and Roads for All Safety Action Plan. They actually were out at the 4th of July event, and so the town of Smyrna is developing a comprehensive strategy plan to reduce fatal and serious injury crashes for all road users, pedestrians, bicyclists, transit users, and drivers on town-owned roadways. And the action plan will focus on roadway safety challenges and identify projects and policies to proactively address these challenges based on best practices. This program's funded by the Safe Street for All grant awarded to the town earlier this year, and we need your input. So throughout the process, the project team will seek community input through online and in-person community engagement. With community input and safety data, this plan will prioritize roadway projects and policies that address safety challenges. So please take some time to use the interactive map to share your thoughts on how to make Smyrna roads safer for pedestrians, bicyclists, transit users, and drivers. And to view the plan, visit our website on the townofsmyrna.com, and it will take you through asking you a few questions. So if you'll visit the town website. I am so excited tonight to kick off our special census. And the special census is a population count for those of you that don't know. And for every person that's counted, the town of Smyrna receives an estimated $175 per person from the state in shared sales tax revenue. If the special census results show that the state that we've exceeded our 2020 census population numbers, the town's state revenues will increase. This increase in revenue directly benefits our community by helping to fund our police and fire departments, build parks, repair our streets. Anything that comes out of our general fund can be used with this money. So the updated count is also going to help to keep our taxes low. So it is so important that everyone in your household be counted. Doesn't matter the age, we just need you to be counted. And there are many ways that you can be counted. You can complete the census on the town website, you can call town hall, or you can return the census form that you will receive in the mail. Obviously, the easiest way for us as staff here at the town hall is to go on the website or do it electronically, because if we have to send firemen out to your house or if we have to mail you something, it's going to cost a little bit more. So please make sure that you return that. Our fire department and census workers will conduct door-to-door visits to homes that have not responded, so we don't want you to get worried if somebody shows up at your door asking how many people live at your house. The information collected in the census is confidential, and federal law prohibits it from being shared with courts of law, credit companies, solicitors, the police, the IRS, or immigration, and information is only provided to census officials. So please, please, please help us keep our taxes low, continue to provide essential services to our citizens, and increase our quality of life here in Smyrna by doing your part and completing the census, because in Smyrna, everyone counts. So you're going to start seeing this symbol and people that can take your census information at events. We're talking to all the schools. Each school is going to send out information to students and their families in hopes that we can gather as much information as we can. Last time during COVID, we hope we got everybody counted, but we're not sure that we did. So hopefully we'll get an accurate count to help with getting that $175 per person. Chief, I'm so sorry about your mama. I can't imagine how difficult that is, but I hope that you felt the love and support from not only staff and administration, but also from the community, because we're behind you, thinking about you. Mayor Mullins, glad to see you. You are more than welcome to come sit in this chair anytime you want. Especially
Probably
on
coulda had it
nights.
tonight if
That's
you
right,
wanted, you
that's
know.
right, that's right. So, council, staff, anything else? Okay, if nothing else, we're adjourned.